6, Sactown Sports.
And maybe the 49ers got a big break last night, courtesy of Kirk Cousins. It's a drive, guys. Our next guest is former pro defensive back, of course, Locked On 49ers host, Eric Crocker. How you doing today, Eric? We're doing fine. We're having a little bit of an issue with your phone. What do you think, Jay? You want to Yeah. Why don't you give it another try there, Eric? We couldn't hear you too well. Are you there?
All right. Yeah.
Good.
How's it sound?
Yeah, we got you. Let me start with a kind of a silly question. We've been talking about this today on the show because we've been talking about coaches. Shanahan and Belichick was on last night. Here's a question, Eric. No wrong answer. Let's say we're playing against the Martians in a football game for the future of the planet, and you can pick to coach the team for Earth. Any coach, past, present, future, living, dead, you can pick any coach. Here's some of the names. We've had Walsh, Belichick, Harbaugh, Martz, Joe Gibbs, Shula, Chuck Noll, John Madden, Vince Lombardi. Who would you pick to coach this team, Eric, with the future of the planet at stake?
Bill Walsh. That's without a doubt, without a question.
Yeah, that's what Jay said.
This is a guy, you got to look around the league, right? And there's kind of this coaching tree with Mike Shanahan. But really, a lot of this stuff starts with Bill Walsh and how innovative he was in the passing game, kind of like the forethought that he had to kind of create an offense predicated on like just this timing, rhythm, the explosive plays. I mean, this is a guy that was coaching in the offense with Jerry Rice, where he scored 22 touchdowns in 12 weeks. Like throwing the ball at that level in 1987? Like that's crazy. So I'd say him. And then the one thing I really like, you talk about breeding competition, right? I coach high school football at Edison here in Stockton, and I wish I was able to have more competition at certain spots. This guy had Steve Young and Joe Montana on the team for years, and it was kind of like a weird, awkward situation, and he was able to manage that thing and turn it into a situation where guys were able to compete at the highest level, and it brought the best out of everybody. So, yeah, I'm going with Bill Walsh.
Yeah, number one answer, Jay.
Yeah, as it should be. Bill, the man. He reinvented NFL at that point in the 80s. EC, man, point blank, period. What happened as a DB? Let's just start here. Heard Richard Sherman talk about it. We've heard a bunch of people talk about it. Heard Shavarius Ward talk about, they have to be better. What happened? What did your eyes see on that 97-yard touchdown strike to Justin Jefferson?
Oh, okay. So first of all, the Minnesota Vikings, they did a really good job of going max protection there. So they had it all blocked up with two guys en route. Now they ran what looked like to me was a dagger concept. So you typically have kind of like the seam or go or even something that could turn into a post from the slot receiver. And then the outside receiver, he's running a dig underneath there. So the quarterback has the option, especially with max protection. Do I want to just have Jefferson clear it out and him take the safety and the nickel defensive back and throw that dig route on a versus corner who's outside shade, or does the defense do something and kind of mess up and the safety get caught a little flat-footed, maybe peeking a little bit at that dig? Can I throw it over the top? And we saw what Sam Darnold did. He said, you know what? I like this vertical. I think I have a shot to get this over the top of the safety. I think it was Jair Brown. He got caught a little bit peeking just a little too long. And, Darnold made him pay.
Eric Crocker with us, Locked On 49ers host. What did Brian Flores do? I know you could probably talk for a couple hours on this, but long story short, what did Brian Flores do to make the 49er offense look so confused, Eric?
Oh, man. I mean, pre- and post-snap movement was awesome. One of Brock Purdy's superpowers is just knowing where he wants to throw the ball, get the ball out of his hands. He's a terrific anticipatory thrower. And there were a lot of times in the game, I'm saying, like, wait, he doesn't see that guy there. Like, why didn't he pull the trigger, and throw that pass? And then after the game, you hear the soundbite of Brock Purdy telling Flores, hey, like, your scheme is crazy. I'm like, oh, he was confused the whole game. So, obviously it resulted in a lot of sacks. We saw that. But I think the timing that Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense typically plays with on the offensive side of the ball, it was really thrown off by the pre- and post-snap movement that Flores was giving them.
Joined by Eric Crocker, Locked On 49ers podcast host, of course, former DB in the league. Eric, one of the things that I always gets me with the 49ers, it feels like on offense is the lack of adjustments, in-game adjustments. And I'm not sure if it's, Kyle being Kyle. I'm not sure if it's the bravado of just saying, stop us. We're still going to do us. What do you see as a football player, someone who's been in the locker room and someone who knows how to make adjustments on the field? I think you've seen that with the 49ers the last couple of seasons defensively, maybe not so much with Wilkes' defense. But what do you see when you look at the 49ers offense? To me, it doesn't seem like you see a lot of in-game adjustments.
I think more times than not, your game plan is your game plan. And from there, it's all about execution. There were some things that definitely hindered the 49ers, right? A block punt and setting a team up with short field. And the 49ers are a team, they don't want to get down. They don't want to be, have to play from behind. It's a team that is very comfortable playing ahead. And more times than not, they are ahead. But when I look at Kyle Shanahan's offense, it is an offense that is a little bit more time-consuming and is predicated a lot on the run game and what they're able to do off of the run with certain throws and things like that. So, when teams have a read on that or a beat on what it is that he likes to do and what makes him successful, once they try to kind of take that away a little bit, I don't know what his changeup is. And I think that's been the bigger issue with the 49ers in certain games where you see things really snowball on them. We saw last year in a few straight games, right? The Minnesota Vikings game. You had the Cleveland Browns game.
And
you had
Cincinnati.
the Cincinnati Bengals game, right? Where it's like, man, the offense looks a little clunky. Maybe this defensive coordinator is giving them certain looks, certain fits. We saw it in the Baltimore game. That was a tough one right there. And then obviously come playoff time, things got a little tense, a little tight in certain areas, but I don't think the offense necessarily played well against the Packers. I don't think they played well for 4 quarters or not even three quarters against the Detroit Lions. And then in the Super Bowl, you had 19 points in regulation. So I think there are some teams that are starting to get a beat on what Kyle Shanahan really likes to do, and they're creating a good game plan to take that away. And I don't know if he has a changeup. You would like to see maybe a little bit more of an expansive drop back passing game, but that hasn't been Kyle Shanahan's thing.
Eric Crocker's with us, host of Locked On 49ers. With Debo out, Eric, who do you think gets more snaps in the backfield? Do you think they throw more to Jordan Mason, or what kind of options are even available to them now?
I talk about it a lot when Kyle Shanahan, lays his head down at night and he's thinking about, oh man, I can't wait to create this game plan. He's thinking CMC first, right?
Yeah,
well, you don't have him. Then I think he's thinking Debo Samuel. All right, what can I do with Debo Samuel? The different ways I can get the ball in his hands. A lot of people talk about quote unquote wide receiver 1, but if you look at it last year, even with missed games, Debo had more touches than Brandon Ayuk. Now, did he have more catches? No. But more touches, Debo Samuel's have more. So this is a guy that they definitely look to get the ball in his way in various getting the ball in his hands in various ways. They don't have him out there. So now what do you do? And I think a lot of people are calling for Brandon Ayuk to step up. The tough thing with Kyle Shanahan and his offense is not, it's at least in the passing game, he doesn't feature a receiver in a specific way. Like it's not like, let's say the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb. They're going to move CeeDee Lamb from, left to right, move him in the slot, motion him to tight split, motion him to bunch, give coverage to have to play off, right? Create that space, maybe give him some advantageous matchups there. Well, Kyle is like, oh, well, Brandon Ayuk, just line up on the outside. You're our X receiver, run a post route, run a dig route. And if the look that the defense gives them dictates that's where the ball goes, then they'll throw it to him. I think in this game, you have to build more of your offensive game plan around what Ayuk does very well. So I'm curious to see if we see Ayuk be heavily targeted in this game. Maybe it's more of a George Kittle game. We'll see that as well. But you're definitely going to need some of the younger guys to step up. Maybe, Jawan Jennings is a guy. They still have a lot of weapons out there. They still have all-pro players. So there shouldn't be a drastic drop-off, but it definitely will change the way Kyle has to game plan for this game.
Eric, last one for me. Someone has been through many, many football seasons, probably from Pop Warner to high school to college to the league. As you said, you're still coaching in between the lines at the moment. After week 2, because I'm speaking for the 49er faithful, the 49er fans who are throwing their hands in the air and saying, oh my goodness, the whole world is coming down because we lost week 2. Can you please explain to people, as a player early on in the season, if you lose a early game, does it mean the whole season is coming down, or is it something that you can build on?
of Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues. This season is not predicated on week 1, week 2, week 3. Everything is about building towards the ultimate goal. So for the 49ers, we've seen them in this position how many times now? They had seasons where they started 3-5 and ended up in the conference championship game. They've had seasons where they didn't start very well and still had really good playoff runs or ended up in the Super Bowl. So I don't look at week 1 and 2 and say, you know what, man, week 2 you were awesome. Everybody loved you. Week 1, everybody loved you then. And then, you lose to Minnesota on the road, 10 a.m. start time. Now the sky is falling. I think the 49ers are fine. I think the players in the locker room, they know, hey, we just got to execute, do better. Hey, special teams didn't play well, had a punt block, had a muffed punt return by the rookie Jacob Cowing out there, right? Maybe some laps in coverage, giving up a 97-yard play. There are things where the 49ers will look at it and say, look, we gave this game away. This isn't us. We'll be better next time you guys see us out there.
Thank you, Eric Crocker. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks for having me on,
yeah,
guys.
Eric Crocker, Locked On 49ers. Of course, he's going to agree with Jay about how it's a marathon, not a sprint. That was a leading question, Jay. When we come back, Kyle Shanahan explains why he doesn't seem to think he was out-coached on Sunday. Next, Sactown Sports.
Sacramento